After we were led into the venue, we waited for another bit so they could finish the fan sign. Conceal's performance was pretty good, to be honest. He performed more songs than BTS, but it was pretty entertaining. There were definitely still a lot of fans who cheered for Conceal, but you could tell that during his performance, some fans were just like standing there because obviously they were there for BTS, which I thought was a little bit rude, to be honest, because like he was still there, he was performing, he had a great performance, so we should all cheer for him and everything. After his performance, it was BTS, and the monitor kept like glitching and stuff. There was some kind of technical issue, so ultimately throughout their part of the performance there were no fancy backgrounds or anything, and it was just blank. When it was BTS's turn to perform, the crowd honestly went insane, and like everyone was so enthusiastic. We were all singing along to every single part of the song. At certain points I couldn't even hear the boys that well because fans were cheering so loud. During the beginning of the performance, I had the same problem as I had in the Red Bullet when there was this white girl who was at least 6 feet tall standing in front of me. She wasn't blocking like everyone, she was just kind of blocking the middle of the stage, so at least I could see Hobie really well. But because like everybody kept pushing throughout the event, eventually I ended up next to her, so I was able to see the entire stage. I turned around and I noticed that quite a lot of fans behind me were a little bit small, so I tried to be more considerate with my sign and not hold it up all the time. And whenever I held up the sign, I tried to hold it really high so it wouldn't block too many people that were behind me. And call me delusional all you want, but I honestly think Hobie waved at me at the end of his part for Dope. I was pretty close to the front, so I don't think I would have easily misunderstood who he was waving at or where he was waving at, but he did wave at my direction, and I was the only one in my area with the Hobie sign. And because green is his favorite color and I used like neon green foam, I'm pretty sure he would have noticed even if he wasn't waving at me. After the end of the performance, the boys walked off stage and we were waiting for the high touch. I don't think the venue cranked up their AC because it was really hot, because it was a standing venue and everybody kept pushing to the front, so it was automatically going to be pretty hot. The boys were sweating buckets themselves, and I think one fan even passed out like right after the concert because it got that hot. We waited a while and we were finally slowly being led into the room to do our high touch. When I saw the boys up so close again and I was gonna touch them, I was speechless. I couldn't I tried to make eye contact with every single one of them, but I had a lot of things I wanted to say and I planned everything in my head, but when I saw them I was literally mesmerized by their beauty and words could not come out of my mouth. So I just made eye contact with them and looked at them and high-fived them. And to be honest, I was quite disappointed since they only had one hand out and I wanted to have both hands so I could touch both their hands, but they only had one, so it was more like a quick high five. I slowly walked up to the boys and it was Namjoon who was first. He looked at me with a really genuine and comforting smile as if he recognized me as the crazy Hobie fan who was weeping earlier in the fan sign. I smiled and I high-fived him and then moved on to the next member, which was Joongi. And to be honest, Joongi looks really small in pictures, but in real life, I think he's about my height or maybe a little bit taller. And because of the way the lighting was set up in the room and his hair and his pale skin, it looked like he was glowing. But he looked really tired and maybe he was a little bit sick too because he was pretty quiet and yeah, so I felt really bad, but at least I got to touch his hand and everything. And then I moved on to the next member who was I believe Jin or Jungkook? I think it was Jin. I was still mesmerized by Yoongi's beauty and I had my hand out and he just like high-fived me with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and I was like, whoa, that was Jin. And he has really manly hands. Like they all have really soft and warm hands, but Jin in particular had pretty manly hands. So after that I was like, whoa, that was Jin, he has really manly hands. And then I moved on to the next member who I believe was Cookie. I high-fived him and his eyes are so big and cute and round. He is really tall because I read a lot of fan accounts about the event online before I went, and many fans were saying Cookie is really tall in real life, and I'm pretty sure he was. Honestly, I couldn't even tell because I was just looking up and his eyes were just staring at me. I was just like, ah. And then I moved on to Taehyung and it was like a blur. I don't know why, but every time it was Taehyung's turn, my mind would go blank because like the member before would do something, special or something, and I would be really distracted. So I touched his hand and then it was Hobie's turn. His fingers are really long and slim and his hands were really soft and warm, and he had the most genuine smile ever. He had only one hand up, but I put both of my hands on his hand, and then I could hear a staff behind me saying don't grab them or something, but I was just trying to give him a really really sincere high five, and I was like, I love you. And then like I stared at him a little bit more, and then I moved on to Jimin. He was last, and he also had a really genuine smile. I high fived him, and then I left. And at that time, my heart was beating really fast because I was so excited and so happy to high five every single member. I could tell that after the end of their performance, the boys were in a way better mood during the high touch and photo session. Maybe it's because they came in thinking that Toronto would be just as messed up and chaotic as the other 3 stops of their tour, but it ended up working pretty well, so they were way more relaxed and energetic after. In general, I think that security was pretty strict throughout the entire event, which was a good thing because they made sure that no general admission people could sneak into anything they weren't supposed to go to. And before each interaction, there were at least like 5 staff members that would check every single wristband to make sure you were in the right place. And at some points, they even had like mini flashlights to check and actually make sure 100% that you were supposed to be in there. I think it was a good thing that security was pretty strict because it kept the event moving smoothly and everybody was where they were supposed to be, which prevented a lot of chaos. We were told that 25 fans would squeeze into one photo during the photo session, and to be honest, we were pretty pissed, but nobody made a big deal out of it or anything because we all knew that at that point the boys were really tired and really homesick. So if squeezing 25 fans into one picture meant that it was going to speed up the process and they were going to be able to go back to South Korea and like never ever talk to any TGM staff again, then we're like, okay, let's just do it, like whatever. Since TGM already lied to us many times, and in this case they also lied about the photo session since they said that there were going to be 10 to 12 fans, but at like every single city apparently ended up being 25. We waited a while before fans were slowly let in to take their photo, and all the boys were in the back. Hobie was at the furthest left and I was near the middle of the second row, so I wasn't too far from him, but I wasn't close to him unfortunately. After taking the photo, we had to slowly leave the room for the next group to come, and Taehyung and Jin, who were standing in my side, didn't look my direction, so I turned over to look at Hobie as I was slowly walking backwards to leave the room, and I was hoping that he would look over or something, and eventually he did. And when he did, I waved at him. I was like, Hobie! And like he smiled and he waved at me too, and he has such a genuine smile, and honestly that was the best way to end the event because then he waved at me the second time and I was really touched and emotional and I was ready to cry again. So after that we had to leave the room and get our t-shirts, and then the event was over. Overall, I had a great time at the event. The boys are super handsome and they're extremely friendly, and I'm glad that things worked out way better in Toronto than the other 3 cities since it was their last stop and it was their first time coming to Canada, so I didn't want them to leave on a bad note. I think they left with a good impression of Canada, and Namjoon even said that the next time they're coming they're gonna have a real concert. I trust Namjoon that he'll keep his word, and I'm pretty sure they won't ever work with TGM again, to be honest. Subculture did a good job organizing the Red Bullet in the States despite the rough start in New York, but again, it wasn't the boys or the staff's fault. So I'm hoping they'll be in charge of the boys' next tour as well. I think this will be the first and only time I will ever attend an event organized by TGM, if any company will even trust them with their artists anymore in the future. On the way home from Highlight, I ran into somebody who wrote for a North American K-pop website and previously worked with Nadia, and let me tell you, I didn't hear any good things about her. So if you're one of the fans who were unfortunately ripped off during the tour, do speak up about it. One thing I was a little bit disappointed about was the poster, because TGM basically just ripped off a picture from the Boys in the Mood for Love Part 1 photo shoot, and the poster isn't the best quality either. Like, it's on standard glossy printing paper, but you could tell that it's a really low quality picture, and I don't think you could see that well, and the lighting makes it look a little bit better. But yeah, like you could sort of tell that it's really pixely. Well, actually, no, you can't. I don't think you can tell, but believe me, it doesn't look as good as it does on camera right now. I'm surprised that I didn't have post-concert depression for this or for the Red Bullet. I guess maybe it's because we weren't allowed to take pictures or film videos during both events, so I only focused on the boys and the performance, and I was able to get the most out of the experience, and I truly enjoyed seeing them. For Toronto, I also cried a lot for I Need You, and I think I will really like that song for a really long time. This event also confirmed that Hobie will be my ultimate bias for a really long time. He's seriously so handsome and so talented, and he deserves a lot of love, so do love and support him. Anyways, I had a great time and I met a lot of really friendly people. Fans are super friendly and enthusiastic. Thanks for watching this long video, and I hope it wasn't too boring for you guys. Feel free to talk to me or let me know if you have any questions. So yeah, bye!